Hey everyone, so a few months ago, I was laid off by Google, funnily on Valentine's Day this year. I wasn't ready to share back then because to be honest, I was feeling quite devastated by the way that I had to leave my dream job at Google. So now that some time has passed, I'm ready to share with you 5 harsh lessons that I've learned throughout this layoff experience so that you can mentally prepare yourself if you're going through something similar. The first lesson that I've learned is that it is really not your fault. So when I was being laid off, everyone around me was telling me not to take it personally, that it was just a company decision. But I couldn't help myself thinking, if only I did this or if only I prevented that. Which is why the first few nights, I really couldn't sleep. It was only after a friend in HR explained to me that the objective of a layoff is to save costs. And it's just unfortunate that my job was part of the cost that they wanted to save. So if you're going through a layoff right now, I want to assure you that it is really not your fault, and it had nothing to do with your performance. Also, speaking as a people manager who has hired and fired people before, if you were indeed performing poorly, the company would have just fired you because it would have been cheaper and less impact to the overall company morale. The second lesson is that the layoff process was never going to be fair. Because a layoff has nothing to do with a poor performance, the opposite could happen as well. And that is you're being laid off even though you're a good performer and a loyal employee. And that feeling of unfairness, it will start to grow and eat you inside when you start to notice that less experienced employees or less essential teams were less impacted. And you start thinking, hey, I contributed more to this company. In my case, I worked in Google for the last 8 years in a sales team covering Singapore. We had a lot of talented people from all over the world working in that team. So I had to climb the ranks. And I'm proud to say that eventually I was promoted as the only Singaporean manager in that team. In some sense, you could say that I was feeling entitled because every other leader in my team was not originally from Singapore and I had the most local knowledge. That's why I was so shocked to find out that I was also laid off. Now don't get me wrong, Google treated me in the most professional way. I'm just saying that a layoff can still feel illogical and your loyalty and your years of experience does not entitle you to feeling fair throughout this whole process. After a layoff, it's also common for you to see CEOs get paid millions in bonuses because they have helped the company save so much money. The managers that laid you off, they may also subsequently get promoted because they displayed strong leadership during a tough layoff period. So all of this can feel really unfair, and I really struggled to accept it. It was only after a career mentor reminded me that just like in life, there are different rules for different people, and a layoff is no different. Some of us are lucky, some of us are not. So it's best just to not take it personally and move on. Lesson number 3 is to be kind to yourself and others. Because layoffs are ultimately out of your control, the only thing that's within our control is to be kind. Be kind to yourself and know that you did your best and give yourself the time to grieve and recover. In my case, I pride myself as a go-getter. So the moment I was laid off, I jumped straight into problem-solving mode. Applications, interviews, I was just diving straight into it. And looking back, that wasn't really very healthy. Losing a job is a big deal because it's a big part of your identity. And when that identity that you hold so dearly gets ripped away from you, there's always going to be trauma. I also want to encourage you to be kind to others, especially your managers or the HR team that was tasked to lay you off. They were really just doing their job. In my case, a senior director in Google, whom I consider a friend and a gentleman, was tasked to break this bad news to me, and I could tell that he felt really bad. Still, he treated me with respect, and he still did his job. So being angry and bitter doesn't help you get your job back. So try to be kind to others because no one really wants to do this. Lesson number 4, and this is the harshest, is that your work friends will stop contacting you. So this was a big shock to me after getting laid off, because I thought I had close friendships with these people after years of working together. And eventually I found out 3 reasons why your work friends won't really be there for you. First is that they just don't know how to approach you. Some colleagues may feel that you need some time to yourself, while others feel powerless because they can't really offer you a job or any solution, so they don't really know where to start. The second reason is that they are just as worried about layoffs. Okay, so anyone who survived a layoff knows that there will always be more layoffs coming their way because the company is always under pressure to save more costs. So your work friends are just dealing with their own work security. They're trying to take care of their family, so they may not have time or the headspace to reach out to you. Third reason is that you simply no longer work there. When I was a people manager in Google, I will be hiring people and I will be deciding who to promote. So naturally, a lot of people will reach out to me to collaborate because that could help advance their career. Now that I'm no longer there, they move on to speak with the next person who can make such career decisions. I'm just sharing this with you so that when you get laid off, expect your circle of friends to really shrink. That's why it's really important for you to have friends outside of work, because you're going to need their support in this difficult time. Because if you don't have your friends' support, you might still have that self-doubt or low in confidence in yourself. And this is setting yourself up for failure, because if you were to go to interview for your next job, the next employer, they might sense that insecurity or vulnerability in you, and they might take advantage and lowball you and give you a shitty job. So remember, let your friends and loved one remind you how awesome you are so that you can rebuild your confidence before you take your next step. And speaking of your next steps, lesson number 5 is that finding your next job is gonna suck. So after taking some time to accept being laid off, your next immediate priority is to find a new job. And that's gonna suck because jobs openings are few because the times are tough right now. In my case, I saw myself panic reacting and just applying for any and every job out there. I didn't even consider if those jobs were suitable for me, and I ended up wasting a lot of energy throughout that process. If I were to redo it again, I will follow this 30, 60, 90-day framework. So just ask yourself, if you were laid off today, how long would it take for you to find another job? If it's going to take you 90 days, that means that you have the right skills. You just need to spend some time searching for opportunities. If you're only going to take 60 days, that means that you not only have the right skills, but you also know where the job openings are. That means that you have a strong network and you are well connected. But if you only need 30 days or less, then congratulations. You not only have the right skills and the right network, you have a great reputation. That means that people cannot believe that you were laid off, and the moment they find out, they are offering you a job to join their team. So think in this framework to know where to spend your time, if you need to improve your skills, your network, or your reputation. So those are the 5 reflections and advice that I'll give anyone facing a layoff right now, and it's the same advice I'm giving myself as I prepare for my next steps too. I never had the courage to really do YouTube, but this layoff gave me the permission and no more excuses. So the last bonus lesson that I want to share with you is that sometimes in life, we don't jump, we get pushed. And as long as you're hardworking and you remain kind, beautiful things will always find your way. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to see more of my videos. Take care.